up, everyone, and welcome back to Black Tea Review. Today, we're going to talk about the Netflix original movie, In the Shadow of the Moon. The great thing about this movie is that it was filmed in Philadelphia, aka Philly, aka where I was born and raised. Shout out to Philly. This film is about a detective who meets this woman who kills people, and he finds out that she knows him and that she's from the future. Now, I've watched this film at least 2.5 times because the first time I just was like, I don't think I fully grasped the understanding of what this is about. Like, I'm not sure if I know what this film is about, or like what's the message that's trying to be pushed. So I rewatched it. I watched it 2.5 times, and I'm still not sure if I fully grasp what it's about, but this is how science fiction films are. There's not really that much of a strong storyline, or in my opinion, when I watch science fiction, it kind of goes just straight into it. There's no like introduction into like how it became, what actually is going on, how everything became. You don't really find out until like later on in the film. There's not really a strong story, but nonetheless, this film, in the beginning, I thought it was pretty solid. Now, it takes place in 1988. That's where it starts, all the way up to, I believe, 2024. So the intro was absolutely captivating, with the blood dripping coming from their eyes, coming from their ears. It was classic thriller vibes for me when I watched it. And I was like, wow, this is pretty good. The intro really captivated me, and it pulled me in, and I felt like this is gonna go well when I first started watching the film. Then, I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the beginning, there was a Jefferson book like on the ground, and I'm like, okay, that is definitely foreshadowing what the theme of this entire film is, because it showed the Jefferson book. Later on, it showed other famous presidents and founding fathers throughout the film, but it showed books of them. So I think they did a good job at like foreshadowing that. They made it known without actually making it known, but then when you finish the film, you're like, okay, I got it. Yeah, the visuals were actually pretty good. The downtown visuals, definitely, if you're from Philly like me, you remember how certain areas look, like the bus transportation center. That transportation center reminded me of Frankfurt Transportation Center. And then I had the old school bus, and the visuals of like back in the day, and the visuals of like currently how downtown looks were very good and pretty clean. Even down to the protesting, they related it to now, and kind of infused all those things. Yeah, pretty decent acting. I'd say the acting is actually pretty good. Oh my god, I was so hype when I saw Dexter. I was like, oh my god, Dexter. I love Dexter. Like, I love everything about that show. I even want to like do a review of it, even though it came out so long ago. That is like one of the best shows ever. But yeah, I thought it was so ironic that Dexter was actually in this, aka Michael C. Hall, and that he played a detective in a serial killer movie, being that the show that he was on, he was a serial killer. So we learned that the main protagonist, we learned that the antagonist is actually this black woman who has like a buzz head, this girl who has like a buzz head. The fact that they had, as they say, diversity or black characters in this was definitely important and very cool. Netflix is actually doing a really good job at that, in my opinion, at involving different types and different races of people. So anyway, in films and in TV shows. But yeah, we learned this girl is actually killing people by poking them in the neck with these 3 dots. Now, the whole 3 dots thing, there's this common theme that's going on in a lot of the Netflix shows and movies that I'm watching, with this whole 3 dots thing, with this whole 3 thing, with symbolism of 3s, and I'm just like, okay, past, present, and future. That's what I'm getting from it, and I'm assuming that's what it's about. Also being the fact that the antagonist, the girl, is from the future, and the whole 3 dots thing has something to do with that in some sort of way. Thrill that one of the scenes actually really gave off of as I was watching it. It was a scene with the main detective was actually running because his partner was screaming because the girl was like beating him up, and it showed him running with like the tracks in the back. I thought that was a great scene. It was really intense, and they did a really good job with making you feel like you were on the edge of your seat, and you were sort of worried too about his partner and like what was going to happen next. It was a great shot. You could really see the worry in his eyes. So 1997 happens, and the girl shows back up again, and there's a book reference. There's a book reference to Andrew Jackson. First we had Jefferson, now Andrew Jackson. And I mean, I think it's pretty clever how they put clues in shows. Like I said, I'm really down for detail when it comes down to TV shows and movies, and seeing that is like, wow, that's really cool. Like, has anyone noticed that? It's like, it's kind of like, you know, Blue's Clues, like a puzzle piece. So it's just really cool to notice certain things in the film and pull it out. It definitely foreshadows that there's a political stance behind this, and that she's not just doing this and killing these people for no reason. It's about some sort of justice that she's trying to gain by killing these people, and it's not just murdering just because she felt like it. So midway into the movie, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but midway into the movies, I'm like, oh shit, they have accents. Especially the guy, the main detective guy. His accent was very strong when he was outside talking to Michael C. Hall's character, and he's like, thank you. Like, when he was like sobbing and just like all over the place looking crazy. I could really hear the strong accent. I was like, oh, so are they like Irish? And I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but that was definitely something I had noticed, especially at that specific point, because it was really strong at that point. You really could hear it. It goes to 2006. The protagonist looks crazy. The main protagonist looks deranged. He looks insane. He looks crazy. Everybody pretty much thinks he's crazy. There's another book of Ulysses Grant, I believe. George Washington, that's included. One of the most humorous, I don't know if this is meant to be humorous, but for me, one of the most humorous and really great scene of emotion was the scene with the main protagonist and Michael C. Hall's character, where they were in the cafe and the protagonist was just like trying to explain to him that this girl is coming, she's from the future, and this is what's happening, and she's putting 3 dots on people's necks, and like, I'm not really crazy, she's from the future, and trying to explain everything. And Michael C. Hall just looks at him. His facial expressions were just like, you are absurd. Like, you are absurd. And it's just like the way he did his facial expressions, I was in tears. I was cracking up. Like, I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny because I'm like, he really thinking in his mind, like, you're crazy. Like, while this guy is just bearing his soul, like, yo, I'm not crazy. I'm trying to tell you I'm not crazy. I thought that part was really funny. I thought that Michael C. Hall did a really good job. Michael C. Hall did a really good job at portraying that character in that exact moment. So we learned that the woman is actually trying to reshape history and fix it by killing historical people, or people who are related to these historical people and connected to them in some way, to actually change the future, to the fact of all the crimes that have been committed against people like her, and the tragedies that have been dealt. So we learned at the end that the girl is actually the main protagonist's granddaughter. And they actually do end up stopping the war and fixing things. Overall, it came together, had a solid introduction, good way to grip us in with the whole blood coming out of noses and ears of random people in the intro. It wasn't too dense or like packed with information, but it also wasn't lagging either. So there was definitely like a little balance. It was fine. I was to like add on a few things. I would have liked to see maybe some flashbacks of like the girl and the granddaughter and the grandpop maybe flashbacks of like their relationship. So when they did meet on that beach and when he did find out like this is my granddaughter, it would have been a more intense emotion for the audience. Like it wasn't really that intense. I just was like, oh, okay, like that's his granddaughter. Like, you know, it didn't really hit me. I wasn't really like super really that excited about it. I think if there was a flashback scene, it might have intensified it a little bit more. It would have definitely made it more impactful so we can feel it as audience members. Pretty much, besides that, I thought it was a pretty solid film. It ended pretty fast. It ended like, I don't know, like with some spaces too. I wish there was more, a little bit more, but that's just me. Overall, it was fine. And I don't think I'm gonna do ratings of films anymore, just because I feel like it's really hard to make films and you have to understand all the different things that go into it. I'm just gonna be solely giving my opinion of the film, giving my review of the show or the film, and really talking about the different things that I found that were interesting. And if I was to add things to it, you know, as someone who writes and is looking forward to also start directing, I don't want to do ratings on them really anymore. I feel like it takes away from the film itself and the art itself and the work that people put into it. Even if it's like the most terrible film, and I was to talk trash about a film or a TV show, like I don't know if I want to continue with rating them. But yeah, that's it. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've seen this film, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you were from the future and you came back to the present or the past, what would you do? What would be something that you would decide to do? How would you change the future? Comment below and let me know. Also, don't forget, you guys know I was gonna plug in my Rain series book. So this is series 1 in the book. I actually wrote this book all by myself. Yeah, so look how dense this is. Definitely put in work. This is a science fiction / thriller book about young adults in a mental institution, in an asylum, and they have been living in an asylum for so long that they actually forgot about who they were as human beings, who they were as people. And they get this new counselor who's trying to help. He's trying to figure out what's going on, at the same time get trust from these young adults, from these kids, and at the same time go through his traumas, as well as it shows all of the other kids' traumas and the things that they have going on with them. And come to find out, maybe it's not mental illness, maybe they have abilities. And yeah, it's a really good book. And if you want to read the back cover, you can definitely hit that link in the description. And you'll also get some insight on the first chapter. And it's really good. I really inspire you to check it out. I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.